we all love having a background. Unfortunately, to most of Africans, is that we have no idea of what our past was. Like, if you could ask me, I literally don't know what happened before the father of my grandfather. Is it the great-grandfather? Like, the father of my grandfather is the great-grandfather. I don't know. But like, before that, I literally have no idea of what happened. Which makes me think that sometimes maybe it just popped out of nowhere. The father of my grandfather popped out of nowhere. And we survived. We existed. Actually, it's not that. The thing is that we existed, but there was no record of what was happening earlier before. Which was a very huge mistake. And unfortunately, let me show you one scenario. There are two things which usually happen when we get the African history. The very first one is that there is one history which have been made by some foreigners who, when they come in Africa, they create a story, and the story which they create, they glorify themselves and put Africa down. And there is also another side of the story which makes that the Africans write a story and they put everyone else down, every civilization or any other person who is out of their clan or their tribe down, which brings total confusion. Why is everyone hero in these stories which we get? Why is always the white person the hero of the story? And the thing, the huge part is because we didn't have the mind of recording everything. And trust me, there are a lot of things which I saw recently. For example, let me show one case. The real name of Africa was Alkebulan. Before it was Africa, it was Alkebulan. But unfortunately, when I tried to dig deep about that, I found no backup where that Alkebulan could be coming from. Which means that maybe Africa didn't just have a name. Some historian just came up someday and he was like, yeah, it was Alkebulan. Maybe he got it from a certain source of some people who called it Alkebulan because it's kind of, I don't know, the motherland or whatever, stuff like that. And then they had to call it Alkebulan, which is actually wrong and fake. Good thing is that I found another historian who say the same thing, that there is no proof that the real name of Africa was Alkebulan. And this is one thing only. There are a lot of other situations where we find some stories about Africa when it's always a certain king who is winning, or it's always the foreigners who are winning. Why stuff have to seem too biblical, too religious? Sometimes we need the raw story, the real story of what happened. So now here's the deal. This is now the thing which we can do in order to avoid that stupidity. The first thing which we can do is that we can now realize that maybe the story from the time which we know, let's say around the independence, because maybe that's when the scientific started popping up in African countries and started saving and writing stuff. Maybe the story from then up to where we are now, maybe that's the story which we should be contented with, and write more in our time. Produce more movies, write more stories, write more novels, make more YouTube videos, anything, just anything which can keep the story down and get it saved. Because 1,000 years from now, there is someone who will be coming out of me who will need to know what happened in Goma in 2021. And this is now the time when we as Africans should think of now saving our stories. Because if it's not that, some 2,000 years again from now, someone is going to create a very fake story about us, maybe put us down, or fake stories which will put us up, which won't be the reality and won't help people who will come after us to learn. Thank you so much for being here. Catch you next time.